Hi, Will Brewer here, HVACR Application Engineer with ABB. In this video on adaptive programming, we're going to take a look at the output blocks. For adaptive programming output blocks, you will find these on the right side of the programming screen. By default, again, the view is open to the physical I/O of the drive. In this case, the ACH580 by default has 3 relay outputs and 2 analog outputs. To use an output block, you click and drag it from the palette and connect it to a function block. Here, the add block will combine the in1 and in2 values and write that to the analog output 1. For example, if we take 2 constants and give it 2 separate numbers, the sum of these 2 inputs would write a 3 to the analog output. Currently, we are still in the editing view, so nothing is happening until we download the program to the drive. But first, let's take a look at the other outputs. Here, again, we have the parameter values. This is where you can write an analog numerical value to a parameter that takes a numerical value, or for a digital state on-off parameter value, a Boolean value. Here you would write a 0 or a 1 to an on or off value, for example. Rather than using parameters that you'd have to assign by parameter number, again, there are sections of predefined points that you can use for outputs. These correspond to parameter numbers in the drive. For example, external 1, external 2 selection would be the same as writing to parameter 1911. Fault reset would be the same as writing a true-false value to parameter 3111. For speed control, we have the ability to write an analog value directly to the speed reference, PID gains, or acceleration and deacceleration time, if you wanted a program to be able to change those values independent of what's written into the parameters. We can write directly to the frequency output. We can trigger true-false states to external events. We could save values into a data storage location. So if I select and delete analog output 1 and connect the data storage point 1, my numerical values here will be added and sent to this data storage. Finally, the process PID group, if you wanted to adjust set points, feedbacks, adjust the gains, or the tracking from an adaptive program. Once you have your function blocks, inputs, and outputs connected, you can download to the drive. Once the program is downloaded, you will need to run the program. When running, you can see here on the status the values on the inputs and the corresponding values on the outputs. As I ran the program, the numerical value of 1 was added to 2, and a 3 was written to data storage 1. Then you can go to your parameters, find the value you wrote to, check that group for the corresponding parameter, and see the value updated if the value updates automatically with the drive, or in this case, I needed to enable updating with Drive Composer. One further tip for adaptive programming outputs. Like inputs, you can drag the output of a block to be connected to the input of a block. Here, instead of writing to a data storage value of 1 and having to reproduce it here from the data storage inputs, I have just connected the output to the input. Again, that would look like data storage out to data storage in. These are both the same point, but I don't need the program to read the value and write the value in the same program. I can save the connections, click on an output, and drag to an input. For more information on the output block specifics and the parameter numbers that they refer to, check out the link below to the Adaptive Programming Application Guide. If you would like to learn more about adaptive programming, check out the videos linked in the description below. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to your local ABB representative.